Yo, what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Friday, October 27th of 2023. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I appreciate your viewership and your subscription. If you aren't already subscribed, be sure to subscribe because I do make daily astrology content as well as other forms of content. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful week so far. It is Friday. We are almost to the weekend, and we are almost to the full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. Not quite yet. Some people may be looking up at the sky. They probably looked at the sky yesterday or maybe even tonight and be like, oh, it's the full moon. Not quite. We're almost there, though. But I will say this. With the moon in Aries going over Chiron, Aries, and the North Node today, it's going to feel very spicy, and it's definitely going to bring the full moon energy pretty early. So let's go ahead and hop into the aspects for today. So main things that are going on today is still just the tightening of a lot of these aspects, right? The full moon coming to its apex soon, but that'll be tomorrow. We have the Mars-Mercury conjunction, which is coming closer, and they're going to be coming into opposition with Jupiter. That is going to start peaking. Another thing that we have to kind of look at that's kind of on the horizon, if you will, is we have a Venus. It's moving about a degree a day in Virgo, and it is coming into an opposition with Neptune, albeit slowly, but that is something that's going to be building up over the next week as well. So like I said, whenever we get into, these daily videos, these daily astrological forecasts, if you will, I don't want to necessarily just cover what's happening on that day. I want to also cover the things that are going to be building because you can expect to experience those things as it progresses. So main thing with today, though, you can see that pretty early in the day. Oh, well, hold on. Let me move this back to hours and not days. Boom. Okay. You can see that pretty early in the day, we're going to see that moon is going to be conjunct with Chiron. It'll probably come exact around 10 a.m. or so on the East Coast. And like I said, this is going to be a 16-degree conjunction here. It does make a little quincunx over here to Venus, and it does make another quincunx over here to Ceres. You can kind of say that this is like a yacht, if you will, but it's dealing with some of these minor asteroids like Ceres, and it's dealing with Chiron as well, which is one of the major asteroids that we cover. Love you, Burbs. Have a great day. Drive safe. Yep. But we got to remember, whenever you have conjunctions, it's an amplifying kind of energy. So considering the fact that the moon is almost full, considering the fact that it's in Aries, which is going to bring about this spicy, fiery, impulsive energy potentially, and it's on top of Chiron, there's definitely going to be an element here where people are going to be overly identifying with their wounding, and since it's the full moon, it's going to be projected out. It's going to be like ejected from them like a volatile. In my head, I heard volatile missile, but I don't want to necessarily. I understand that in the world right now, there's a lot of tension and a lot of rumors about World War III and stuff like that. I personally think that it's already started. We can't just expect that it's going to happen in the way that large multi-country, multi-continent wars is going to start the way that they did in the past. Was going to start a little bit differently, especially with the internet, especially with all this new technology. Things are going to start a little bit differently. But a moon on top of Chiron, this is definitely going to bring about this element where people are going to be definitely overly identifying with their trauma and their wounding and stuff like that, and really bringing it forward. Really, it's really going to be highlighted and brought out in people. So that's just something to be wary of, if you will, right? Now, once you continue to move this moon forward, you can see even with a lot of the other planets, there's not a lot of exact aspects that are going to be happening on the day. I mean, you're going to have that moon. It's going to oppose Pallas Athena, at 20 degrees, right? So Pallas Athena was traveling with the sun, Mercury, and all these energies. Pallas Athena is getting close to that south node as well. I think really what this is coming down to is that anytime that you're getting closer to the South Node, it's dealing with a lot of the illusions, stuff like that, from a mundane aspect. From a natal aspect, the South Node represents kind of like your nest, right? What you were, kind of the situations and the circumstances that you were born to, if you will, kind of where you come from in your comfort zone, in a mundane way where you're looking at how it affects people on a larger scale and a more geopolitical scale. It can present that more of an illusion, if you will. In many ways, it can bring out some of the negative aspects of Libra, or I would say even the juvenile aspects of whatever sign it is, because it hasn't grown, it hasn't progressed, it hasn't evolved. So with Palace that's coming closer to the South Node, when it comes to the way that we strategize in our life, and when it comes to that kind of warrior goddess energy, because we gotta think about it. Athena, she was born from Zeus's head, right? So she's definitely very, she's very strategic. She has a game plan. She's more logical driven, if anything, not really so much emotionally driven. But with it coming on top of the South Node, this is definitely going to bring, and then of course the Moon and Aries opposing this energy, we really could kind of get in our own head and kind of get in our own way on wanting the plan to kind of look a certain way, wanting to kind of organize things a certain way too. And with the South Node here, this can be this element where it's like there are going to be some people that maybe seem like they have a good game plan, that maybe seem like they kind of have it all figured out. Pallas Athena also, like I said, she guarded Athens, right? So there's a guarding kind of energy to that too. When she's about wartime and strategizing, but at the same time, if you don't have a solid home base, then you really can't do anything. They can get through all of your walls, if you will, but if you have that solid home base and they can't get to the king or the queen, or they can't get to, whatever it is that they're trying to get to, the Holy Grail, blah, 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 whatever it is that you're defending and stuff, they can't get there. It's about establishing that strong home base. Pallas Athena coming on top of the South Node, this is like everyone's walls are kind of coming down, as far as like, balance and harmony. The sense of justice in the world is probably at an all-time low, as far as like people feeling like there is justice in this world. It's probably at an all-time low. And with the Moon and Aries, which is just going to fire things up a little bit more, it's definitely going to bring about these elements of like people are going to probably be like very numb to this energy. I think everyone's very numb. I think a lot of people are very tired right now. I think a lot of people are like, what is even the freaking point right now? I think a lot of people are like, probably like, yo, fuck humanity, and probably are starting to like really like want to just escape and get away. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's sort of like the dangerous part of this energy, where it's like people are going to be kind of giving up on people, you know what I'm saying? Because they can't really feel that there's any sense of justice or peace or harmony in the world. That's when you have to kind of scale back and not look at what's going on super on the external, large scale, geopolitical scale, and focus in on your own life and see, you know, what is working in my personal life? What is working there, right? You're going to see that moon come the end of the day. Well, like in the evening time, you're going to see the moon with Aries in the North Node opposed to South Node, right? This is going to be one of those moments where people are going. This could be a moment like Friday night, honestly, too, going into the weekend, and the weekend is where the news goes to die. But would not be surprised after the moon coming on top of Chiron, opposing Pallas, and then coming on top of Aries in the North Node, when people are going to probably be thinking that this is a full moon. Halloween's kind of coming early this year. The energy of Halloween is kind of coming early. And this kind of energy could potentially spook you, because we may see some weird events and some weird news stories come out tonight about these different things, especially like I said, with the moon coming on top of Chiron. This could be some weird ass shit. Um, you know, maybe they catch the guy up in Maine or something like that. I think the dude's long gone at this point. I mean, if they haven't caught him by now, but I mean, who fucking knows, right? And what was weird about that particular story is that most of these events where you have like these, where you have mass casualties and these mass shooter events, stuff like that, a lot of times the person isn't really that familiar with guns, and they're not usually they just got the gun like previously, like maybe like a week or two, maybe a month ago, prior to the tragic event, and they're kind of like an amateur with it. This dude was like an instructor, so he knew what the fuck he was doing. That's what's kind of weird about this, right? And it just seems random to be having it in Maine of all places. It's not the place that you expect it to. But if you haven't noticed with these sort of things, that they tend to happen in places that we don't really think about, right? So it's kind of interesting, It doesn't surprise me that happened when the moon was coming on top of Neptune, right? So now today, so we got the moon on Chiron, and then we get the moon coming on top of Aries in the North Node. This is definitely wanting us to find a resolve and find the energy and find the warrior-like quality within us to get through these weird-ass times, to push forward despite all of the chaos it seems like there is on the external world. But we have to, kind of like I said, go within and find our peace within, you know. But it definitely does feel like Halloween has come a bit early, and with a moon that is damn near full in Aries with Chiron. Eris, which is the asteroid of discord, it's a dwarf planet, is the asteroid of discord, right? And strife with the North Node. We got to be able to find peace within the discord and within the strife. We have to be able to look at those details and be able to kind of go within and find the power even amongst the chaos. And that can be difficult, but it's there. But the only way that you get to that place is if you take the time, relax, meditate, and observe, and do your best to not get washed away by the current. We get information so fast and rapidly these days, is that, we get like the initial shock of something. But then we get all of these different stories, people jumping on it because they got to be the first one to report. They got to be the first one to get it out there, because we live in such a society where it's like we're going off of dopamine. It's like, oh, I'm going to put out that story first. I got to be the first one to drop that story. I got to be the first one to let people know about this. We get the dopamine. Then what happens? The story needs to be edited. Don't have all the information. Lies, deceit, propaganda, which is now legal. It was made legal. So that's the thing about this. Are you going to fall for the lies, deceit, propaganda, or simply people reporting on things that they don't have all the information to? And I don't think all of these people are purposefully being deceitful. I don't. But I do think there's an element here where the faster that people can have their opinion formulated about something, the more it benefits certain groups of people that are trying to control you, that are trying to get you to think and believe and act a certain way that benefits them, but is a detriment to your soul and a detriment to your spirit. That's why you have to dig deep and become that spiritual warrior badass and be able to move despite the discord, despite the strife, and to be like, you know what? I think it's great to be aware of things, right? But at the same time, you have to have discernment. If there's a word right now, is there something that we all need to cultivate right now? It is discernment. So let's get into the cards. I know this was a bit of a shorter one. The weekend forecast, of course, talking about the full moon eclipse, will be a much longer one. But the other thing that's building that I did not mention is that Saturn is going to be stationing direct But we got about a week until that happens, right? It's going to be happening next Saturday. So we still got a little bit before that happens. That's why things feel like they're developing super slow, you know, because Saturn is pretty much stopped at this point. So that's why it's important to have discernment and to do your best and not get swept away by the currents and not to get swept away by any propaganda, if you will. Let's see what we got for the cards. Let's see what we got. Seven of Swords. What did I fucking say, man? What did I say? We have the Seven of Swords. Do not fall for these tricks. Do not fall for the initial enticing dopamine hit, because that's going to rob you of sustainable joy. You know, it's interesting. I was scrolling through Facebook, and there was someone I follow on Facebook, right? And she's also an astrologer and stuff too. But she was saying something about how lately she has been working on cultivating inner joy and not happiness, because happiness can be fleeting, but joy is something that can be sustainable. And I'm paraphrasing essentially what she is saying, but that is the thing about this right now. I think a lot of people are looking for happiness or the pursuit of happiness, which is admirable, right? But happiness is fleeting. But joy, even when you say those words, happy, joy, it feels like it's more sustainable. It feels like it's coming from this deeper part of our soul, and it's sort of like this. The word I heard was furnace, but it's something that's more sustainable, right? Happy. That's great. It's awesome. It's beautiful. It's great to be happy, to pursue happiness or to be happy. But that's the thing about it. Happiness can be kind of fleeting, but joy is something that if we cultivate it, it is something that we can embody despite all of the crazy wishy-washy waves and everything that we experience throughout life. But the Seven of Swords, there's definitely this feeling where you may feel like you've been taken from, stolen from, that maybe because of different circumstances or maybe because of the actions of people that you probably have never met that somehow affect your ass. You feel like it's robbing you of your destiny. But don't fall for the hype, because you are so much stronger and much more powerful than you give yourself credit for. We do have the Two of Swords here as well. So at this point, the only person that's holding you back is yourself, you know? And that can be a tough lesson to learn when there are people out here that have seemingly wield all of this power, right? And affect all of these people, but you still can have discernment. And the great thing too is that the internet is the great equalizer. Some people say that we shouldn't have had, like, we've gone too far with the internet. That's a bad thing. I think it's probably, like I said, I think it is the great equalizer, because what it did is that it allowed the regular common folk to be able to not only put their voice out there a lot more, but to be able to ascend out of being just the common folk and being able to, now you get a variety of different accounts, ideas, imaginations that proliferate, that come forth and project into this world. You can find the information that you need. You can find, if you have discernment and you're willing to look and not you're willing to swim past the immediate dopamine hits of 30-second videos, you will find the information that you need to free yourself from the bonds of this stalemate, right? We also have at the bottom of the deck, we have the Empress card in reverse. So yeah, I think a lot of us are feeling like we're not fully there with our value, that we're not really fully connected. if anything today, I think today will be a great day of connecting back to your roots. Connecting back to your roots. Because if you connect back to your roots, these people can only take so much. They can take the fruit, right? They can take the fruit and they may be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor more than you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. But if they don't pull you up from the roots, right, they may be able to take all of the fruit off of that tree. But the fruit will come back on that tree. They may be able to cut multiple limbs off the tree, but that tree can still survive. So you are that tree that despite the trauma of someone taking your fruit, despite the trauma of someone cutting these branches off, painting a metaphor here, right? Despite all that, so long as they don't pull you up from the root, and they can't do that, you're solid and you're good. So we have to get back to the root. We have to get back to our solid foundation, if you will. So that's what this really comes down to. South Node in Libra, there's a positive side to it. The positive side to the South Node in Libra is that if we could swim past all of the illusions that it presents and the delusions, we can reestablish and get to sort of the core of the most important relationship in our life, and that is to ourselves and God. That is the most important relationship that we have. If we can swim past all of the chatter, the noise, the static, the dopamine hits, the temporary happiness, and get to the roots of things and find the joy in a relationship with ourselves and God, that is the most important thing. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you would like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful Friday. I'll see you guys on the weekend astrology forecast, where we will dive deeper into this full moon in Taurus eclipse and how it will affect all 12 signs. Peace.